Happy Monday, everyone. It is Monday Movie Talk, so that means we are recapping the weekend box office where Good Boys topped the charts. On top of that, we are talking a little bit about Disney's initiative to mitigate piracy, which might have a little something to do with stopping folks from sharing their passwords. So if that was your plan for Disney Plus, you might want to rethink that. I'm going to talk about those two topics, plus a little more in the live chat with two wonderful people today. We have Nikki, Novak, and John Rocha on the desk.
Hello.
Hi. You survived.
I did. I don't know what I survived.
You survived.
Hosting Movie Talk, that was a blast. I had a great time. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for the comments. We had a good time.
That's to help gear you up for TIFF when I'm gone for a week and a half.
Fair enough, yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good. I love that opening. By the way, who's a good boy? That just made me laugh.
Yeah,
Whoever
very
did
funny.
that,
Anytime I'm doing that intro and someone next to me is chuckling, I just assume the guys made it funny.
Yep.
And it's a good thing I didn't see that because I never would have gotten through that read. But I'm going to get through this one right now because first up on our list today, we are recapping the weekend box office. So here are the actuals. You could see them up on the screen right now. Good Boys topped the charts with $21.4 million. Then the 2 position went to Hobbs and Shaw, which made another $14.2 million. The Lion King came in at number 3 with $12.3 million. Then it was The Angry Birds 2 at number 4 with $10.4 million. And finally, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark hung on to that 5 spot with another $10 million. You guys look at this top 5 and maybe beyond a little, and what stands out to you most about it?
I'm super excited about Good Boys.
Yes.
Yay, it overperforms, and this just makes me happy. It also made me happy if you saw Seth Rogen's tweet, because he was basically like, thank you, everybody, for coming out and watching an original movie. And I just think he's my favorite performer of the year between Long Shot and Lion King, and now this. I just think he's sort of set the bar even higher and higher for himself, but just seeing that people will go out and see an original film like this, that it will overperform. And I think really, and I've said this over and over, it comes down to concept. And I think Long Shot underperformed because people felt like they could wait and see that at home. Where this is the kind of movie that was such an original concept, so intriguing. It was kind of like a Superbad, but people wanted to see 3 6th graders and how far they took it.
Superbad with tweens is just a really easy sell, and I think you could see it on the bottom of your screen right now. This is actually only the 3rd movie in 2019 to hit the number 1 spot. That's an original movie. The other 2 that did that were The Curse of La Llorona and then Us.
Right.
So this needed to happen right now, and it also just needed to happen for the comedy genre in particular, because we haven't really seen all that many movies pop. But going into the weekend, I was betting on this coming out as the number 1 movie of the week, and there was just something about it that seemed like it was trending upwards way more drastically than any of the other new wide releases. And, you know, looking at the chart, nothing else really did all that well. It's kind of, you know, a lot of the familiar names like Hobbs and Shaw all over again.
Well, Good Boys was really clever in the way they marketed this movie. And I was watching TV, and they tailored their commercials to what you were actually watching in that hour. And I don't think I've ever seen people do that before. It was just so smart, and it was so intriguing. And it didn't show you too much, I think, in the trailer. Maybe they couldn't because of the R rating. Right. But I feel like that was clever too, because it piqued people's curiosity at the right time.
Yeah, I agree. I had a great time in that movie. I thought it was marketed well, but you got to look at the other original movie while we're trumpeting this, and that is Blinded by the Light. It barely made the top 10, $4.5 million. Got a 10-minute standing ovation. Was bought by I think it was Universal or Warner Brothers for $15 million. Yeah, Warner Brothers for $15 million. And this on the heels of The Kitchen not doing well either. So it's certain original content, even though we'd seen it already in a female version, Booksmart, and then an older version in Superbad a few years ago, that is making money. Yes, but there's something like Blinded by the Light, which is a legitimately original film, in my opinion, didn't quite grab the attention of the audience overall. So I'm starting to wonder where this is going. As Hobbs and Shaw did well. I mean, Lion King's almost at $1.5 billion, and people are still arguing whether it's live action or animation.
Well, if you're going to draw the line like that with original filmmaking and say that Good Boys is an original because it's like Superbad and like Booksmart, you could say the same thing about Blinded by the Light in its similarities to, let's say, Yesterday.
A love story, Blinded by the Light.
No, but I think it's also people maybe are growing tired. First it was Bohemian Bohemian Rhapsody, then
and
it
then
was
Rocket
Rocket
Man?
Man, then Yesterday.
Well,
Which one
did
am I
well.
missing? It did well, but maybe I think timing is everything. In the summer box office, I think August, I don't know. I think it just fell under the radar, and I think even though it did really well and got the standing ovation, I just never heard the buzz.
It's a bummer seeing that
Yeah.
happen to
Yeah.
so many movies that really hit it big at Sundance, because now we can add a Blinded by the Light, which was a huge sale at Sundance. On
Yeah.
top of that, Late Night didn't perform all
Right.
that well. Another big sale from Sundance, and then we actually have another one coming out really, really soon. That please don't miss this movie. It's Brittany Runs a Marathon, and I can't stop talking about that. But that one might have the smarter play because it's doing the slow rollout. So I think when you're working with certain movies, that's the thing. You start small, you build buzz, and then you get wider and wider, and then hopefully you're maximizing all the distribution costs, which I don't think some of those movies have done this year. It's also worth highlighting the Angry Birds movie too, which Dorian loved, but something happened this weekend. Not a lot of people saw the movie, and that first one made something like $38 million. And then when you look at this one, over the course of its 6-day run, it barely cracked 16 million. So this one is definitely a bit of a bust. I mean, what do you make of Angry Birds basically flopping? Because I look at a movie like, you could say Romeo and Juliet and then Sherlock Gnomes and see that dip happen.
Yeah.
So is this and actually this year also, The Secret Life of Pets 2.
Right.
That's one that
Right.
surprised me. Is this a trend we're going to see continue?
I think so. I think sometimes you get lucky, you come up with something that's fun and different, and you put it out and it makes money, but then people don't really want to see a sequel because, hey, you got it right the first time, I'm good. Especially something like Angry Birds, which was really based on emojis or a game or whatever it was. And so it comes out and it does well, and you're like, okay, cool. But then you do a sequel and you're like, wait, I don't want you to turn it into a franchise. I'm good. So same thing happened with Secret Life of Pets and a number of other movies. The gnome thing, I'm okay. But like, it's just a matter, you get it right the first time. Like, you should be happy you got it right the first time and made the money that you did. You can try to do a sequel, but most of the time it's going to fail.
I
So-
feel
think
like
it was-
that was your old man Rocha moment of the episode. That Angry
There's always
Birds movie, it was based on
That's
emojis.
the Godfather.
Darn apps.
You know, the
Those
emoji
iPhones.
movie.
But yeah, but
How
it was
on the nose can you be?
It's
Yeah.
sad too because the first Angry Birds did like 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. This one's like the
This
highest.
was better reviewed.
I think it's the highest rating for a video game adaptation ever,
Yeah.
and it was like 73%. It did really, really well. I think maybe you could attribute it to the fact that a lot of families have already gone to see movies earlier in the summer. I don't know,
And
Maybe-
also school's back in session now,
Yeah.
in a lot of districts at least.
Yeah.
Why don't we just? But maybe people just don't want to go. It's not about. I think if people want to do, they'll make the time. Like you said about Long Shot, people just didn't want to see a schlubby guy trying to go for a beautiful woman. It wasn't about.
I still disagree with that.
Yeah, you
I
can
think,
if you like.
No,
but
I think
the
it's one
truth.
of those that people are going to watch at home, but they didn't feel compelled. It's whether or not people feel compelled.
There's an arrogance in the premise that I don't think people wanted to go see.
No, I disagree. I think it comes down to when you go to the movies, what makes you urgently want to go the weekend something opens and pay your money and not wait to see it. And I don't think necessarily a romantic comedy is what people wanted to see. And they didn't think
Yeah.
there was anything so original in the concept they couldn't wait for.
That
Where I
urgent-
think Good Boys felt more original.
And that urgency has also been completely reshaped by streaming services.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are prioritizing certain things that need that, or at least we think need that big screen treatment more so than other things. And, you know, when it comes to a movie like, let's say, Long Shot, Late Night, you name it, that doesn't necessarily scream like big screen
Right,
cinematic
right.
experience quite like maybe like an Avengers
But neither-
Endgame,
neither
or
does-
even an Us if you want to bring an original movie into the
But neither
equation.
does Good Boys. It doesn't scream original cinematic thing, and we've seen
well,
it
it
more
doesn't.
currently.
It
In
it does not
even this
necessarily
year.
compared to other like blockbuster style releases, but it's also, it goes back to the idea that whenever we have these box office conversations, yeah, you can maybe point a finger to one thing, but that's one thing amongst many. It's
Yeah.
like
Certainly.
like with Good Boys, you know, maybe it was the high concept, also maybe it was the fact that it was against other films that made for good counter programming. And when it comes to
Right.
Angry Birds, school's in session. Maybe people had enough of Angry Birds on the big screen.
That's- yeah.
It's the middle of August, which is traditionally considered a little bit of a dumping ground. There's so many factors in play.
And I think with that one, there wasn't anything new. Like Lion King, you know, it was completely different from the original, where this was sort of more of the same.
What did you just say?
Visually, it was completely different. I'm not talking about the shot-for-shot thing, But
It's literally the same movie.
photorealism versus an animated movie, that's
sure,
a
but it's the
totally
same
different
movie.
thing.
It's
And
the
it was
same
there was a
thing.
lot of
And
hype
it
in
was
that
from
too.
the 90s to 2019. You're definitely not gonna have the same generation watching it. So a lot of the people that wanted to see it didn't care or didn't even know the original.
And then you can add in the fact that movies like Lion King already came out this year, and they made a crazy amount of
They
money.
did.
So
Right,
there's
and
less money
Aladdin,
to
yeah.
go around. So
Yeah.
always so many things to weigh in box office, which is why I love it. All right, guys, we're going to tell you about a new show coming to the Collider Video YouTube channel today. Guess what? I'm on this one today. It's Rule of Two. Here's a promo.
Hey guys, Riley here, and let me tell you about Rule of Two. You looking for a Star Wars fix? Well, Rule of Two is that show. It drops in on Collider Video's main YouTube channel, as well as on PodcastOne's Jedi Council feed. So go over there, subscribe, share it with your friends. It's hosted by myself and Mark Fernandez. We talk everything in the Star Wars universe with a lot of deep dives and a lot of conversations that go all in. You know what to do. Subscribe, join us there, and rise.
You guys also have to keep an eye out for a brand new episode of Comic Book Shopping today. Tomorrow is the day you are finally getting that episode with Brightburn star Jackson A. Dunn. It's that episode where he picks a winner for the fan art contest. So check that out. Coy is hosting as always, so you could bet that show will be filled with fun and energy, as anyone might expect from Coy. All right,
What are you
story
talking
number
about?
2 today. Have you ever watched Comic Book Shopping with Coy?
I have. I have.
Tune in tomorrow and see what won the fan art contest.
How
for
could anybody
Brightburn.
not want to watch Coy?
Seriously.
He's
No.
better than morning coffee. I mean, coffee and Coy, it's the best
I feel
combination.
like I'm going to pocket that and use that for his intro tomorrow. All right, story number 2, guys. In a press release from Disney and Charter Communications, the companies have announced a distribution deal for programming from content providers including Hulu, ESPN Plus, and even Disney Plus. You'll also find a little detail in this press release that has something to do with piracy mitigation, which includes not sharing passwords anymore. Here is the specific line from that press release. Additionally, Disney and Charter have also agreed to work together on piracy mitigation. The two companies will work together to implement business rules and techniques to address such issues as unauthorized access and password sharing. So, yeah, it's a major no-no to share passwords with people that aren't paying for particular services, but there is also no denying that it happens quite a bit. So you hear a statement like this, and does it raise an immediate red flag where in the very near future these two companies can come up with an idea to actually combat that?
Yeah, it scares. Look, first of all, I agree that they should stop this. You should not be stealing from people. For
And
God's
yet are
sakes.
you? And yet
No,
are you?
No, hell no. And I've never been a fan of people that do that. You know what? Go earn more money, then you can afford things. That's how life works. The other side of this is this. But the other side of it that scares me is this idea that they could track your IP address and follow, because I don't trust people who can have access to our IP addresses to stick to just gonna look to see if you're stealing our content rather than what are you looking up on Google or what are you exploring or what websites have you been to. And that's where irresponsible stuff starts to happen when they have access to your private, secure stuff. That concerns me overall. And don't tell me that they're just going to look at one thing. I just don't believe that's not human nature. Just like it's not human nature to not steal passwords from most people. Only sticking to the IP address doesn't strike me as something that's human nature either.
Yeah,
Well,
that seems
yeah.
like it's going to kind of come with the game that they're going to play in
Yeah.
order to figure all this out. So there's one article online. I'm going to say this wrong. It's definitely in a foreign language, and like it's spelled ARS, and all I want to say is arse, and that's just not right.
Do it. It's Monday.
Ars Technica. So they were explaining that part of the way that these two companies combined can combat that is if you are using, let's say, your Charter login in order to get, let's say, Disney Plus content. So that's how they could stop this from happening, by going through that. But also this idea of using your IP address.
Yeah.
Because right now we have a whole bunch of streaming services that at least stop people from streaming a certain amount of things at once. But
Right.
I mean, how else do you stop this problem without tapping into, privacy concerns?
I
And
know.
I don't see very many other options.
Well, and I also think that once they start, then everybody else is going to follow
Yeah.
suit. And I have no idea why nobody's done it before. Like we were saying before we rolled, like what took everybody so long? to do this, to implement this.
This article that I just referenced, that I'm not going to say the outlet again, they have 2 quotes in their piece, and they're both very interesting. So Netflix CEO Reed Hastings once stated, password sharing is something you have to learn to live with because there's so much legitimate password sharing, like you share with your spouse, with your kids.
Right.
And when I was living with my sister, we shared everything. And when I moved out of my parents' house, I took some of their stuff with me. It's just... We all were doing legitimate family sharing. And then on top of that, there's an old quote from the former HBO CEO, Richard Plepler, who took this an even bigger step further. And he once stated that sharing passwords is actually a terrific marketing vehicle for the next generation of viewers. And he also added that we're in the business of creating addicts. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least they said it finally, straight up.
But they both make a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, even think about things like cell phone bills. There are family plans
Right.
that, and all this stuff is so expensive. And I'm definitely not going to go out and say, like, if you want everything, make more money, because sometimes that is a big struggle, and it could be a struggle. You don't know what personal expenses somebody else is dealing with out there, and they might want the joy of a streaming service in their life and can't afford it for a very legitimate reason. But these things are all super expensive, and sometimes the only way people can afford them is with something convenient like a family plan.
You know what's free? The library. Go to the library, rent movies, rent DVDs, read a book. There's stuff out there regardless
He just
of
had
what
his
you're going
second
through.
moment.
Regardless of what you're going
I
through.
feel like we need an extra
emotionally.
flag for that at the bottom of the
Look, I
screen.
told Cody this years ago. Congratulations to Cody for having
Yes,
the baby.
congratulations, Cody.
I told Cody this a couple of years ago, and I said, this is the truth. That extra Taco Bell you get for $7, guess what? You can buy Hulu the whole month for $7. If you know how to use your money correctly, you can do so. I respect your point, though, about people's personal finances and whatever they're going through, maybe medical stuff, whatever. I respect that. But there are other avenues. That being said, though, the family plan you pay for, and I think what you're saying, Nikki, is interesting. You're like, why didn't they do this before? I think the companies were about their numbers. Look at how many people are watching this stuff, so they weren't so concerned. Now that they're seeing profit, now they're concerned about making sure that more people are signing up for it to watch their content.
Well, it's going to open up a can of worms because, like you said, you were sharing with your sister. What about other types of families, people that live together that are maybe sharing the cost?
Right,
and what if they crack down on one person because of their IPL and someone else gets away with it? It's just like, I feel like it could be a mess, a potential mess.
It does sound like a very messy situation. Also, when we're in such a tumultuous time with streaming services, again, Disney Plus is launching later this year. And we are talking about major corporations, some of which already have established success. But it's like, in addition to shaking up the landscape with a juggernaut like Disney Plus, now we're also going to add that to the equation. And who knows what kind of ripple effect that can then have. So it's going to be interesting. And I also just bring back this quote from Richard Plepler, because you also have to ask yourself, like is it worth it? Does he have a point saying that this kind of letting this kind of sharing happening is a way to get more marketing out of it, and also to create an addictive quality and sustain it?
Yeah. That's what they want, and I'm glad that he flat out said it. Other than tobacco companies or Coca-Cola, all these kind of things that they purposely want you to keep coming back and using their product. He's flat out saying it. We want to make an addict out of you, so this is what the price we have to pay, because the more of an addict you are, the more of our stuff you're going to watch, and that's their ultimate goal, is to push up their numbers, because that's how they make the money off of it.
What's your ideal scenario in the next couple of months? Because we talk about this all the time, and we were talking a little bit about it at the beginning of the show. What could Charter possibly do with the Disney content in order to, let's say, give someone access to a Disney Plus through their service? So what's your ideal scenario in terms of bundle buying? Because we're going to definitely have to deal with something like that come November this year.
Fingerprint technology, which means that it's your fingers on the keys that are being read as you type in your password so that you can get.
You're not okay with the IP address thing, but you're okay with them getting your fingerprints all over the place.
I'm okay with the fingerprint stuff, because that you can actually stop that from being.
Add another wrinkle to that, though, because I have a Netflix account. I use my Netflix account at home on my Apple TV,
Yes.
on my
Right.
laptop, and when I'm on the road
Yep.
on my iPad. So how are you going to cover everything without running the risk of, if I'm not, where home base is watching, it's not going to cut me off?
Well, like I said, fingerprints.
Well,
On
what
the
about your
screen.
device though?
Everywhere.
You register your device to each,
Or even older
yeah.
devices that don't
Right.
have that kind of
Yeah,
technology
that's
now.
fair. That's fair.
It's
Good point.
It just basically reinforces how messy this is going to be
Yeah.
for such a long period of time.
And they don't want to make it inaccessible. So
No, which
they'll,
they won't.
they'll figure
that goes
yeah.
back. That goes back to that same quote
Yep.
and the idea of introducing another kind of, I guess, wall. Because think also about how people buy stuff now. It's like the second you introduce one teeny tiny hurdle, it's like what were we talking? It's like MoviePass recently when we were talking about the idea of them targeting power users and purposely changing their passwords in order to save money on their end because. Who wants to even click things like, forget your password? No, you
Right.
will stop people from using your service
Yeah,
through
true.
that simple thing.
Yeah.
Can't you track some? I'm sure they could track. Let's say Perri and I shared a password. If we're watching something on the
But
at
we
the
won't,
same
'cause you're not
time,
supposed to.
We're not supposed to, but at the same time on two different things. That seems to be suggest that you've shared a password with someone else that you shouldn't have.
Well, that's the most obvious scenario.
And I'm sure they can track that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to cover this more as it all develops. Hopefully we'll get more information as Disney Plus is launching super soon. On top of that, guess what this weekend is? It's D23, and we're going to cover all of the Disney Plus announcements that happen over there and then some. Let us turn our attention to the live chat really quickly. How about this question from Sky Patterson, who's asking, thoughts on the official trailer for 20th Century Fox's Underwater? What do you think of it? What do you think will happen to it now that it's under Disney?
It looks great. It looks fantastic. I enjoy the hell out of this thing. It looks like the Abyss run amok, and I love that. And Kristen Stewart looks badass.
She really
in this
does. I
trailer.
agree.
And I'll tell you this, I'm looking forward to this way more than I am Charlie's Angels. This looks awesome.
Well, she's going to have a year. This is going to be between Charlie's Angels and this. There's going to be, she's got a lot riding on it. She does, right?
TIFF. Why is the name escaping me all of a sudden? Especially after I showed you my 50 plus film tip list. She's definitely in something at TIFF.
Yeah, but no, I was surprised by this. It reminded me more of the Meg, except
Better?
The Meg is fun.
Yeah.
Hey, go to the library, Rocha. Read the book.
Better shark movies there.
It scares me that it's releasing in January. I'm just going to say.
That's a fair point.
It really scares me.
That's a fair point. Although
right.
someone's got to break through in
Someone's got to make an
Right?
Academy
Someone's gotta
Award
do it.
film-worthy film in January.
You really never know, especially earlier in January. I feel like that's a good time for a horror movie to hit too, where usually it does have an opportunity to pop. So usually that's weekend one, but maybe that's what this will be for weekend two. It was weird seeing this trailer after having just seen 47 Meters Down Uncaged yesterday and just the whole trapped undersea vibe. So watching it was making me think, how much of this have I seen before? Even though, Kristen Stewart will always sell me on a movie, and there's definitely certain sparks to what they showed there that
Yes.
obviously makes it feel like something stuck underwater I haven't seen before, but there were enough similarities to be like, do I need another one of these? I don't know.
Right. To me, this could have been an August release.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got that summer vibe, but I mean, obviously they had their reasons. But I agree with you. I find her captivating. There in that little bit, she sold me. She looked like a badass, and there's something so intriguing and so watchable about her.
All right, so we're all in across the board. We have time for one more question, and I'm going to go with this one from Lord Philip N., who's asking, question, what movies this year have surprised you in a good way? My two are Missing Link and Animals. I'm wondering if Animals, Lord Philip is referring to the Aaliyah Shawkat movie with, who stars opposite her in it. It premiered at Sundance, and now the name is escaping me, but I didn't even know it came out, which bums me out a little.
Aladdin. I did not think that was going to be good at all, and it surprised the hell out of me, and I loved it. Thoroughly loved it. Lion King also surprised for
okay?
all the
not
wrong
okay.
reasons. For all the wrong reasons going in, and I thought it was going to be incredible. And if it wasn't for Timon and Pumbaa, I would have hated that experience.
I went into a slight bit of shock because that was actually mine as well.
Oh,
Aladdin,
wow.
I was surprised at how much I loved it, and I never expected you
Yep.
to choose it. And the second one, I wouldn't. I expected to like it, but I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, and that was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
So Animals, by the way, stars Holliday Grainger and Aaliyah Shawkat, and apparently came out in the UK, but has no US release, which is unfortunate, and you should seek it out if you can. I'm looking at my list right now, trying to figure out which one maybe surprised me. Like, I don't know if I walked into any of these movies with, like, rock-bottom hopes, though, if you know what I mean.
Did The Kitchen surprise you? Did you expect that to be good and it wasn't?
It's a worthwhile reversal of that question. I think that when they first announced the idea and the folks attached, I did have sky-high hopes, and I thought they were going to knock it out of the park with those 3 leads. How could you not?
Right.
But then as you get closer and closer and see promo materials and you start to hear early reviews, obviously,
Fair.
My hopes were just torn up into a million pieces. I think I'm going to go with... I don't know. I guess maybe not that I had rock bottom expectations for this, but I'm so pleasantly surprised by the movie Freaks, which comes out on September 13th. And I'm even more surprised because I saw it, I think it was last year for TIFF, and I loved it. But then I rewatched it again for an interview with the directors, and like I was even more blown away by it. And when a movie like that has that kind of effect on me, I think I'm just like pleasantly surprised, I guess. I don't know. Go see Freaks. That is all the time we have for you guys today. Nikki, Rocha, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Adam in the booth, Dorian in the live chat, and another congratulations to Cody Hall, who is officially a dad. We're so happy for you. All our love to the family. To everybody out there, please like and share this episode of Movie Talk, and then tune in again tomorrow, 3 p.m. PT Live for a brand new one.